whatever it is you're doing, whether going to the office, going to the market, going to drop the children at school, whatever. We hope, and that's the entire reason why we do these things, so you have the information that you need for your day and know how to plan accordingly. So yes, you're welcome. Anyway, time for us to get into straight from the dailies. First part of the morning splash, we take a look at the newspapers and their headlines, peek out some talking points, give you some more insights and analysis on that, and then we move on to 8 o'clock when, of course, we get deeper in conversation. Joining me this morning, as always, Barrister Yomi Ogunlola. Good morning, Barrister. Nice to have you here on a Monday morning.
A Tuesday morning.
My brain is still booting. Sorry.
Yes, good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Chacha. And the yet to be lawyer in the house.
He looks like a lawyer already. Good morning, Plato. Nice to have you here.
Good morning, Barrister. Good morning.
Good morning,
Chacha.
Yes. I was just going to say something. You said Chacha went to get married yesterday.
Barrister,
now
why are you passing the buck?
Oh my God.
Passing the buck?
I see that a lot happened.
Sure, who would have said that?
Yeah, you have a point there, Plato. I should know who would say something like that. It sounds every way like Barrister. Anyway, I'm looking forward to having an interesting time taking your insights on this stories. There are a couple of them. As with every other edition we've brought to you, there's so many stories, we can hardly go through half of them, but we see what we can do. I've got the Vanguard newspaper, the Daily Trust, the Punch newspaper for this morning. So let's get started, shall we? Ondo 2020, Akeredolu PDP trade words over plan to mortgage workers' welfare for favorable court verdict. I saw this headline, didn't quite understand what it's about. That's why I'm going to be taking a little bit of detail into that. The opposition, Southwest Zonal People's Democratic Party, and the Ondo State Governor, Rotimi Akeredolu, have traded words over alleged plans to mortgage the welfare of workers in the state to procure, quote, favorable judgment in the Supreme Court. Recall that the PDP governorship candidate in the 2020 election, Eitayo Jegede, who lost to Akeredolu at both the tribunal and the Court of Appeal, has proceeded to the Supreme Court to sack the governor. Both the tribunal and the appeal court had thrown out Jegede's suit for lack of merit. However, the opposition party, through its zonal publicity secretary, in a statement, alleged that Governor Akeredolu is, quote, currently in talks with the authorities of the Supreme Court to negotiate the allocation of the state in his favor in a yet to be decided governorship judgment in Ondo State. End of quote. The publicity secretary hereby is hereby calling on labor unions in the state to rise in the defense of civil servants to prevent the menace purportedly concocted by the state governor Rotimi Akeredolu to negotiating their salaries for the forthcoming Supreme Court judgment, which he believes would be in favor of his party, the PDP. Gentlemen, I mean, you already hear laughter. That's Plato. A pointer as to you considering this as ridiculous, perhaps?
Should I say ridiculous? I think I'm lost, for words on how to describe this. Not for anything, because my position may sound a bit funny.
Okay.
Now, if the PDP is coming out to say this, I think they've been sleeping all along. Workers in Ondo State have not been collecting full salaries. That's the truth. And in fact, there is, I can say this boldly that hardly would you see a worker in Ondo State, whether in any of even the tertiary institutions, that can tell you how much the state government is owing him. Now, there are cases of people who you are paid 20% today, you are paid 30% in the next month, you are paid 50%, so it's even difficult. And then they don't get the pay slip any longer. So it becomes difficult to track now.
So you're saying there's some truth? There could be some truth in this allegation?
There is no truth in it, because this is something that's been happening for over a year, and the PDP kept quiet all along.
Okay. So they're only speaking up now because they stand to gain something. So coming up to say this
now is, for me, is the height of hypocrisy.
Why do you think workers would be treated this way and then they will take it?
Because
I mean, it's their salaries, they worked for it.
You see, what is running on those State at the moment seems to be more like a gulag of a thing, because I asked that question, and then I've come to discover that the leadership of the union have either been threatened or they have been, blackmailed or coerced, because this is what cuts across the states.
Wow.
Of course, it's a state I've lived in for a while, so I understand, and of course I have people there. So you want to ask yourself, so what are they coming up to? And again, it also brings us to another point, that politicians should stop rubbishing the temple of justice. It's becoming a norm in this country where one political party begins to, malign the judges of either the Supreme Court, the Appeal Court, simply because they feel that.
I mean, it sounds like a noble thing to say politicians should stop. What if the judiciary is allowing itself to be maligned? Have we not seen cases where it has been proved, at least there's been evidence that show that certain people were bribed,
so would you not compromised to give when you use one instance or one case
or two, one or
two cases to now malign the 7 judges, the 5 judges who are going to sit on the matter in the Supreme Court? I think we should.
I don't think the point is maligning. It's probably speaking to a reality that exists within the judiciary.
It
has happened before. Who's to say that it can't happen again?
They simply do that so that, when we do that, because they know they will get away with it. Do these things happen in other crimes, those so-called crimes that we call sane? Do we have to rubbish the judiciary because of several, political interests? I'm beginning to have a problem with this thing because it's becoming a norm.
All right, let's hear from the lawyer representing the judiciary. I mean,
you see, I see the opposition in what I'll call instinctive ego defense. What they have come up with, but you see, it takes us to one issue. And I think that is what you appear to be harping on, that the judiciary really needs to redeem itself. The impression people have about the judiciary is not one that is good enough. Now you hear a lot of people talking about Supreme Court governor and all that. Nigerians no longer believe in the ballots. A lot of people are shifting base now to the courts. I think a lot still has to be done by the judiciary to redeem its image.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's leave it there and move on to another interesting one. Still on the Vanguard newspaper. Not new to controversy, this one. And I'm sure you gentlemen will agree. Nobody can stop Lagos rally. Igboho is speaking. And the Vanguard has the details as follows. Just 5 days to the much-touted Yoruba self-determination rally in Lagos. Chief Sunday Adeyemo, a.k.a. Igboho, the organizer of the proposed rally, has vowed that no Jupiter can stop him from holding the rally as planned. Though the Senior Elders Forum of the Yoruba Council of Elders, through a former national president, Dansaki Samuel Agbede, had warned that Chief Igboho should take caution and ensure that the rally was not hijacked by hoodlums. The Igboho-born activist is hell-bent on holding the rally. Thoughts on this, gentlemen?
Yes. You see, I am so happy coming so soon after a verdict in the UK concerning protests and protesters or protesters, which version of the word you choose to adopt. The right of the people to protest is a right that cannot be taken away by any government, especially in a democracy.
Even for self-determination, even protest for self-determination.
Look, there is everything. Well, look at Nigeria, how Nigeria has moved in the last 2, 3, 4 years, and ask yourself whether or not there is justification for what they're doing. All right? It is left to the government to assuage their pains.
No, Barrister, I totally understand what you're saying, and any right reasoning person would agree. It's common sense that we all have the right to protest.
Oh, yeah,
but when you're protesting for, like the IPOB members have been doing, for the destruction, maybe not destruction, disintegration of the country, should the government stand by and see it just happen in the spirit of you have the right to protest?
I want to believe, that perhaps the methods adopted by IPOB may not be one permissible under the law. You know, where maybe if it is true as alleged that they are burning, government infrastructure, killing officers.
But they started with protests now, years before now. They started with rallies, and that was even what got them proscribed.
It should never get to that level. No government will stand by and watch that happen. But the Igboho aspect here is just to mount a podium and sell an idea to the people. Why should the government be bothered about that?
Perhaps because of what happened during the EndSARS and how it was hijacked. Shouldn't that be concern enough?
Because there are accidents. Because accidents happen on roads. Is that a good enough reason to stop all of us from traveling?
I don't even need to ask you if you're in support of the rally. I mean, Barry, it's like you just put it out there. But Plato, we have to take a break quickly. But let's hear your thoughts on this.
Well, for me, I think aside the fact that every individual, every citizen has that right, to gather and, of course, ventilate their anger and ventilate their position, not anger now, ventilate their grievances within the system and against the system. It must also be within the ambit of the law, which is very important. And Barisa also alluded to that. Yes, the Sunday Igboho call for self-determination is a good one, and I've said this before, because it seemed to definitely be making government be on its toes to realize how much it has failed the people. Now, that said, one again also has to look at the character of the person who is pushing this. I remember that I said this about Nnamdi Kanu, and I said it's just a mere con man. And sincerely, I do not think any differently about Sunday Igboho too. Now, what I want to begin to look at the motivation. Now, I don't have a problem with the message, but then the messenger, because as much as we want to, separate the messenger from the message, we cannot also leave the messenger. What is the motivation? Are there actually noble, desires behind the motivation? Is it not just an idea for someone to sell himself? Now, if all these boxes are ticked, then of course we're on the right path. Again, I think beyond this old noise of having rallies and the likes, how well is this idea being properly sold to the elites? Now, if you are going to do that, if you say that there won't be election, now that's also where again the whole issue of government saying, "Oh, you can't hold the rally" comes in, because you are now already threatening, fire and brimstone, saying that valid democratic practices will not happen, and that may create a problem. Yes, there's nothing bad, pushing for something. Say, oh, we feel that we want to go on want to be separate and the likes. Even though I don't support the idea, I see it as just a mere scam. But then there is nothing wrong in that. We don't all have to fall within the same line of opinion.
We have to take this commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to talk about the tone. No Jupiter. And what that kind of tone depicts, in the face of the fact that we have security agencies and people who are supposed to maintain law and order. And then, of course, whether you think this should be shelved, because he's been advised to change the date, postpone it, and he's insisting it has to be on that day. We'll talk about that when we come back. Don't go away.
What do you need? Na safeguard.
Children that like to play.
Them like to play.
Small pigs that must jolly oh.
Them like to jolly oh.
But remember one thing, protect them with safeguard so. Protect them with safeguard. Protect them with safeguard so. From the teen and yama so the future go better.
Safeguard antibacterial soap. They come out every yama for body. It also they available for 50-gram size.
Beautiful people celebrating now. Beautiful culture, I'm on a job. Even when you fall my heart, I will stand for you. Sometimes you they break my heart, I still love you.
Download the Tribe Niger app to join hot conversations about our Niger. Tribe Niger, do it different.
Mommy, my teacher said 90% of my brain will develop by the time I am 5.
Really? What else did she say?
She said I need iron in my food for my brain to grow well.
Oh, very true. And that's why I give you Cerelac Junior every day, which provides half of your daily iron needs.
And Cerelac Junior tastes so good.
Cerelac Junior with Iron Plus. It's all good, Mom.
Madam, you look excited. Rushing somewhere.
So you haven't heard about the higher thermocool Jara Overload promo?
No, just me now.
You get free instant gifts like TV, blender, cooking oil, AC kits, and so many other exciting rewards when you buy select models of higher thermocool freezers, fridges, washing machine, generator, and standing cookers. No raffle, no draws.
No, I can't miss this.
Oh yes, the higher thermocool Jara Overload promo is available in all Thermocool showrooms, Cool World, and key partner stores nationwide from June 17 to September 19, 2021. Terms and conditions apply. Higher Thermocool, always there for you.
Wait, Mike, is that
I pay my bills easily, I'm running things like a boss. Collect a loan with no collateral. Vault is the answer. Vault is the way. Vault is the answer. From Polaris Bank.
Download Vault by Polaris Bank. That's VULTE. Visit the Google Play Store or Apple Store now. Vault is available to Polaris and non-Polaris Bank customers. Vault by Polaris Bank.
Try Ariel. Now your clothes will be cleaner than they've ever been. Ariel is what it's well.
Something and you tell mommy you don't know feel. You can't say that to your mother-in-law because you will get in trouble.
Women are the salt and spice of life. To keep the spice of life alive, Women Matters. Oro Berry Season 2. It's here, bigger and better. Catch the show on this station every Thursday by 10 a.m. Let's talk all about women. Women Matters. If it matters to women, it matters to us. Proudly sponsored by FC.
Enjoy the chocolate to goodness every day because you need to reach your peak. Everybody needs nourishing goodness. You can never have enough, it's true. Taste the nourishment you can enjoy. Big chocolate it is. Kids, grown-ups, it doesn't matter. Have a rich cup of peak chocolate anytime and enjoy the delicious nourishment of chocolaty goodness. Big chocolate it is. Peak. Reach for your peak.
The UEFA Euro 2020 is here, featuring the best of the best, the Sergio Ramoses, the Ronaldos, the Harry Kanes, the Mbappes, and of course you, the super fans. From Friday the 11th of June to Sunday the 11th of July, you can watch your favorite stars battle it out, match after match, to be crowned kings of Europe. The UEFA Euro 2020, it's anyone's game. Get and stay connected to DSTV to watch every game live on SuperSport or on the DSTV app.
What do you need na safeguard?
Children that like to play.
Them like to play.
Small pigs that must jolly oh.
Them like to jolly oh.
But remember one thing, protect them with safeguard so. Protect them with safeguard. Protect them with safeguard. So from that thing, yama, so the future go better.
Safeguard antibacterial soap. They come out every yama for body. It also they available for 50-gram size.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us. It's 6 minutes to 7 a.m. We have another break to take in another 6 minutes. So let's do this quickly, gentlemen. As we wrap up on this Sunday Bowl story, would you suggest that given the concerns, especially security concerns, that he postpones this rally or cancels it, considering how volatile Lagos can be in terms of ability of people to hijack this? And what do you make of the tone?
Everywhere is volatile.
Okay.
When he had his rally in Ado Ekiti, in fact, the cases of kidnapping in Ado Ekiti is worse than what you have in Lagos. So what are we saying?
But Lagos is more packed.
Well,
I mean, it's easier for people to just disappear after committing a crime.
It would be an excuse for us to say, oh, then people should not ventilate their position. Now, I think what should be done, and that's the duty of the security agencies. Mm-hmm. Their duty is to ensure that they ensure the security of everyone who participates in the rally. Okay. That's their duty.
All right, so it should continue.
So it should go ahead.
All right.
So far, he's also ready to do it within the ambit of the law, and not use that to, pass a mark. Then, of course, that should be allowed.
All right, Barrister.
You see, the Igbo rally, I think they already have a precedent, and none has been reported to have gone, gone
wrong,
south.
Yeah.
So I think they should leave them alone. What the government should do, Buhari's government must not fail to effectuate its promised reforms. Before the APC came, they were talking about what we cannot take these reforms and all that. This restructuring, they have a name for it, Sovereign National Conference or something like that. Why did they abandon it? Why did they abandon it?
Okay.
So these are some of the
they forgot. Plateau. All right, we have to
these
move
are some
on.
of the things that these agitations
It's a normal thing for humans to forget. So it's just
so you campaign, you seek a position of authority for years.
Can you imagine?
You get it, and then you forget.
Have you forgotten the saying that politicians campaign in prose but rule in poetry?
Okay. All right. Interesting. Good point to leave that conversation. If you are thinking of getting the Vanguard newspaper, other stories you're likely to get: native doctor linked to ESN beheaded in Imo, 3 others on the run. That's something. Traders raise alarm over threats to invade market. These are some of the headlines that you would find. Moving now to the Daily Trust newspaper, and this is something that I want us to talk about, gentlemen. Tuition protest. Kaduna denies deploying operatives to suppress students. So there's another drama playing out in Kaduna. It has been for quite some time now, and the Daily Trust newspaper is reporting that in the preliminary report received so far, 1 student has lost his life and others were wounded, while 3 security personnel also sustained injuries. But the Kaduna state government has refuted reports that it deployed security operatives to suppress protesting students at the state's-owned College of Education, which led to the death of a student. This comes hours after a student among hundreds protesting the hike in school fees was shot as security operatives attempted to forcefully disperse the protesters. In a press statement by the Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Sama Aruan, the Kaduna state government says it is awaiting briefings to enable it understand the circumstances surrounding the unfortunate violent incident in Gidonwaya. The National Association of Nigerian Students is to relocate its National Congress to occupy Kaduna to protest tuition increase in the state. Given this, the government says it will publicize its findings after receipt of the expected report. I mean, Kaduna is just in the news these days for all the bad reasons. And I don't know if you saw it over the weekend. There was more like a form that was given to parents to fill. Parents whose children were going to be in Kaduna, and the form was for you to sign, accepting that you give your consent for your child to be expelled should he or she protest after getting admission into the school for whatsoever reason, especially regarding school fees increase.
It's not the first time.
But this situation, how does it strike you? What would be your comments?
Well, I wasn't shocked. Like some of us have always said that the methodology of these generals in our varsities, our tertiary institutions, who have turned, citadels of learning to barracks, has never changed. So if you look at them from the days of Grace Alele Williams up till now, these characters have always been, the same. Now, what you see is that these characters feel that, hey, students have no right to protest. But then I always say this: why do unions protest? Or why do they embark on any strike? There's also something we call the 3 C's of the union. The first is consultation, so they must have consulted. And then confrontation is always the last, because you have to also consolidate. And when all this has failed, then you see them engage in confrontation. You would notice that in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I saw on the national TV, when these students were protesting, they had actually protested to the State House of Assembly more than once, and nobody attended to them. They went to the State House, nobody attended to them. They went to the State House of Assembly. I think the speaker addressed them. So they've been quite consistent with this, and it's quite unfortunate that the government will now say that they did not deploy security officials. Then the question is, are they unknown policemen?
Okay,
who deployed them? To what end?
Let's even set the background for those who are wondering why these students are protesting. It was reported that there was a 500% increase in their school fees for both indigents and non-indigents. People who were paying around 30-something thousand ended up paying 150. Well, depending on the faculty and the department you fall. While those who were paying, say, around 60-something were paying even way than the others. And parents, students, they're all how are they supposed to, come up with this money? So there are people who had been complaining about the school fees the way it was before,
and this is also a state that has a low admission level, where a low level of education compared to other states down south. One begins to wonder what the governor was thinking in his head. And don't forget, as the United Nations has made it clear, education is not a privilege, it's a right.
And this is the same Kaduna State that has issues with workers. I mean, they're trying to regroup to go back on their strike.
I don't know how our rulers think. You are whipping a child with a horsewhip, and you say he should not cry. When you make such laws,
maybe you should move.
When you make such laws, they are impossible laws to implement. That is just the truth of it. You see, these are bad laws. Now, look at what is happening in the country. About 2 days ago, I posted something. It was sent to me by a friend in Abuja, showing the successes of the present administration in terms of making up for infrastructural deficits. And then a friend of mine, he's a lawyer too, Dave Ajit Tomobi, he wrote something. Please, I want to crave your indulgence just to read a part of it.
Okay.
If someone had predicted 6 years ago that a tin of pig milk will cost between 230 and 300 naira, I would have called him a fake prophet. That is exactly what is happening now. Medium size or blue band was 550.
We can't call the brands.
Now, yes. Sorry. I'm so sorry. And then it has gone to 1,300 naira, and so many other prices are going up like that. And you are saying the people should not complain?
Barrister, are those prices going up or they are coming up? Because that's what someone said yesterday.
But this is even different when you compare it to school fees. This is an intentional increase by the government. You're talking about inflation.
Yes.
Things that we wouldn't say we had a control over it, but the government saw all these realities and decided to hike the price of education.
It shows the reality of this government. The governments at different levels.
As far as I'm concerned, it just shows a government that is losing control of the system on a daily basis. They're losing control. They are not in effective control anymore. And I start asking myself, those of us who were present in 1983-85 are now beginning to ask, what is it about this gentleman? Is he gentle? Or this retired military officer? Because around that time when he came, issues like this were also at the fore. Why is it that the people would have to sacrifice so much when Buhari is in government?
Okay. There's this story from The Punch I'm hoping I can take, but we'll open up the phone lines, take some comments, and if we have time before 7:15, I'll squeeze it in. The headline reads, border corruption, security agents, smugglers, worsen subsidy crisis, flout Buhari's order. It sounds like something that's going to be juicy with a lot to talk about, but then again, let's see what our listeners have to say concerning what we've talked about so far. 0809 155 1055, 0706 949 3000, 0805 699 8678 are the numbers that you can call. Oh, okay. Seems like we lost out on this one. Let's see. All right. Oh, so sorry. Hello?
Good morning, Kacha.
Good morning, Reverend Koye.
Good morning, Barrister and Plato.
Good morning, Reverend Koye.
Oh, good morning, Reverend.
It is the right of the citizen to protest, but it is not the right of the citizen to destroy properties, to loot, to steal, and even to cause harassment to motorists or attack innocent people, as we always experience in our kind of protest. So I want to say, like the Yoruba says, the elders in Yoruba land, Okuki ho guru kawaruru. Yes, there is a lot to protest about. But the Sunday Igboho protest, I believe, in Lagos, for that matter, the police should do what is needful. We know what Lagos stands for. There may not be any problem in other places, but when we talk of Lagos, it's a peculiar case. So I want to appeal to everyone. Protest is not the way out. Let us try to deploy other avenues.
Okay.
The Lord will help us. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Reverend Koye. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Hello?
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning. Sounds like Ahmed. You're welcome. Please go ahead.
Yeah, nice to have you back. Good morning, Barrister Plato.
Yes, good morning.
You know the antecedent of Everify. They won't be surprised about Everify. When he was a minister, you know what he did as a minister in Abuja. And also, talking about the governor that told everyone that he's not going to pay ransom for any kidnapper. Definitely, we see a step more from someone like this, like him. And also, Nigeria, you know that our only class lacks empathy. We don't have empathy. Definitely, we see the role of people that lack empathy is good for people like that for me.
Okay. All right, Ahmed, thank you very much. He says, the leaders lack empathy, and I'm sure that's something that a lot of people can relate to. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, this is Aiko calling from Lera.
You're welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning,
my
good friend.
Rally and protest in every country is constitutional. You know, the only problem we have in Nigeria, when protest and rally are held, who are the attackers? Who are the sponsors of the attackers? It is the same government. So when government want to change the protest, it is constitutional that it should be thoroughly managed. The government should not sponsor the attackers to go and attack the protest. Good morning.
All right, thank you. Interesting point. Hello.
Hello, good morning, Jerome.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Charles.
Thanks for your church.
Nice to have you.
I think on a Google, before you want to hold a protest, you have to take a permit from the police.
No,
that is not the position of the law.
The court has made that clear enough.
Okay.
That is not the position.
And you don't need the permission of the police to hold a protest.
Okay, that has been stopped, has it?
No, it was never in the law.
Clear that you don't need the permission of the police to hold the protest. It is rather the duty of the police to ensure security.
Because why I said that is because while you are holding the protest, at least the police are supposed to be there to make sure that the protest is not hijacked.
Mm-hmm. The police have been invited already. If you heard something in the news, that means you have been invited. It's a public notice.
Okay, so that notwithstanding, what legal ground does it do have to represent these people? Because we have people who have legal authority to represent the people that can push any reforms that need to be pushed. So which legal ground does they have to put himself as the representative?
I think he sold an idea. And people bought into it.
What I'm trying to say is, even in advanced democracy in Spain, you see what happened to Catalonia. Even with everything they have here, they still could not achieve, Catalonia could not achieve it because of the way they go about it. There are ways to go about this thing. And okay, the good I say no Jupiter can stop you. Even the Juju that did Juju for him cannot stop you.
All right, Charles. Okay.
I think there are ways to go about this thing legally.
All right. Thank you. Good morning. Your line isn't clear.
Let me share.
Okay. Go ahead. Not exactly. I'm afraid you're going to have to call us back. Yes.
I think you should call back.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. I am Shagun. I'm calling you from Moto.
We're glad to have you, Shagun.
Yes. Please, concerning the protest or rally of some people, what is clamoring for is civil rights. But one thing I want you to know, as the guy is boasting that nobody can stop him, it's not talking to the government, but those that want to voluntarily provoke their protest. Let me tell you one thing. In this, especially in this Yoruba land, there are some bastards in Yoruba land.
I'm afraid you can't say that. You can't use that kind of language on radio.
They have a right to a dissenting opinion. So that doesn't end them.
Let me tell you one thing. There are some people. Hello?
That's better.
There are some people that they are in the land to destroy the peace of the land. Some people are there to destroy them, to destroy their protest. As a matter of fact, Nigerian nation has come to stay. So if any Yoruba people for being instigating even against Yoruba nation, the land of Yoruba will judge them. That is one thing I wanted to.
All right then. Thank you. I mean, thank you very much. We can't hold.
It be like say you woke up with a for in your hand.
We can't hold his opinion against him. I mean, he feels strongly about this.
Exactly.
Good morning.
Yes, good
morning.
Morning.
This is Dr. Mark. I'm particular about El-Rufai and his harsh ways of viewing protest. Protest is what is welcome in a democracy is only a way by which people can let government know their grievances. So it should be welcomed. Police should not at any point in time use guns on protesters. We have rubber bullets, we have pepper guns, we have all manner of, we have water bullets as well that you can use. I want to advise that government in the north, instead of him being putting more hardship on the citizen by asking them to pay that much in school, he should employ the youth more, put them more into agriculture. Kaduna used to have what is called part of the pyramid in the olden days. Granite pyramid in the olden days. They should employ more and let them mechanize farming. People still buy granite a lot outside this country, and they can still make good money from farming. It's because he's looking for more money. He wants to increase IGR. That was why he increased that school fees. But it's not good at this time when already we have what is called inflation in the country.
All right,
it's going to be spending too much on the people. Thank you very much.
Totally appreciate your comments.
Well, I must also say that this document.
Let's take this, please. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. You're welcome.
This is a lot from the work.
Please go ahead, sir.
Let me ask this question. If you beat your child, you have the right to tell him not to cry? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for keeping it brave. I've got this message here, and I think it was Barrister who said it earlier, yeah? It's like beating a child and telling the child not to cry. Good morning. Nigeria is on the brink of collapse, or is it already? And Providence and history won't forgive and forget the senselessness and bigotry of this inhuman administration. Fashole Olumide from Gbagi, very strong words. Okay.
You know, Chacha,
Yes.
I just have an admonition for our police. It's unfortunate that so many years down the line, they still have not learned their lessons. You know, rather than improving, they continue to go down south.
Well,
the police should improve on their game.
The police is living out its ideology. A police that was created by a colonial government for the interests of that government would always work to protect the government.
I can agree with
Unfortunately,
you. Unfortunately,
we can't take any more calls. Apologies for that. Our time is up for this morning. But in the 8 o'clock hour, gentlemen, thank you so much for being here.
You're most welcome.
I'm sure you would have heard Masari recently, his comments of how ridiculous it is for people to sit back and expect security agencies to protect them or secure their lives. You know, it made me reflect back to, I think it was Magashi, who had said something like that way back in February. So we're going to be talking about this whole new trend of government officials seeming to be more emboldened now to
call for self-defense.
Exactly, and absolve themselves of the responsibility to ensure the security of life and property. Now, the interesting thing...
Let them go to the National Assembly and enact a law that will give the people, empower the people.
We're going to be having this conversation in the 8 o'clock hour.
has given, the red light.
Absolutely.
Now,
T.Y. Danjuma had called for this in 2018 and he had received a bashing. So why is this change now in tone? We have to go. We have to go. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Join us again at 8.
Splash FM 105.5. When we say